All right, let's continue this series on universal design. I think it's nice to have a few episodes here that are dedicated to the same topic, especially considering I've been having a lot of questions coming in about universal design, and because there's a lot of topics that relate to universal design that I haven't got to address quite yet in this podcast and in this YouTube channel and everywhere else that these videos go to. We've all, at some point in time, had an experience where we've wanted to kind of destroy our technology because it was making us so frustrated and angry just by having to use it. We've all had these experiences with websites or with our phone where we just wanted to take our phone and throw it out the window because it wasn't doing the things that we wanted it to do, or it wasn't fundamentally designed in a way that made your user experience very satisfying. Now, I don't think there's a designer in the world that intends to make their technology frustrating or upsetting for their users. I believe that fundamentally designers have the best interests of their users at heart, but that oftentimes they don't necessarily have the awareness, the training, or the understanding for how to make that possible. They're more focused on what they can do, what they could do, and not what they should do, to quote from Jurassic Park, the best movie ever made. Now, my favorite story about unsatisfying user experiences comes from my mom. Now, my mom is a watcher of, a viewer of my YouTube channel. So I want to start off by saying, Mom, I love you, you're amazing, and thank you for letting me share this story. Now, she's also a very gentle and petite woman. My mom is not quick to anger. She is not someone who is violent or anything like that. And one day she decided she wanted to get a color printer. You can probably already see where this is going, but she wanted to buy a color printer because she wanted to print out pictures of her grandchildren and put them up on her refrigerator. And this was really important to her because in the mornings when she wakes up and she's going to make her cup of tea to get her day started, she has that reminder of her family and the people in her life who she loves. And so she was excited. She gets in the car, she goes down to the computer store, and she picks out a printer that she thinks is going to work for what she needs to do. She comes back home, she plugs in the printer after she gets done unboxing it, and is immediately met with a whole bunch of prompts that don't quite make sense and that are confusing and a little bit annoying as she tries to get this thing installed. After a little bit of time, she still can't quite get everything to work. And so she calls up my brother. And this is something I think a lot of parents do. The minute technology stops working, they try to reach out to their children and say, hey, help me, let me figure out how to make this work. And so she sits on the phone with my brother, and at some point in time, all the prompts moved to Spanish, and so my brother's trying to diagnose what issues are happening in a language he doesn't speak over the phone while my mom is trying to get this thing to work, and she slowly grows more and more and more frustrated. After what probably was several hours, she got so angry and upset at the technology, the way the technology was designed, that she picked up the printer and threw it across the room. Now again, my mom is not a violent person, and technology should never drive us to that level of frustration. And so for me, one of the key concepts behind universal design is that it should be a satisfying experience for everyone. And yes, that is relative to that person's experience, but there are also design decisions that we can make that can ensure that that technology is as satisfying as possible for everyone. So I think one way we can ensure that this happens is to make sure that there are a diverse group of contributors to the design of new technology. And now I don't know why printers always seem to be the problem, but they tend to come up often when people are talking about frustrating user experiences. And so what we would do in a case of designing a new printer is ensure that people who've had experiences like my mom has had would be part of the design of that printer from day one. not at the end of the process to kind of test it and make sure that it works and okay, yeah, it kind of works, but not really, but to bring them in at the very beginning of the design process, to continually involve them throughout the design process, so that way the end product is reasonably assured to work around or fix or eliminate any kind of barriers that people might experience using that technology. So I think that's a key dimension of universal design. It's a key takeaway if you work in a design field, if you work in a technology field, that we must ensure that everyone has a satisfying experience using that technology.